Her hands tremble as she counts. 1 coin. 2, 3. Each clink echoes like thunder in the quiet of the convenience store. The fluorescent lights hum above, cold and uncaring. Behind her, a baby whimpers softly, wrapped in a blanket that's too thin for November. Emma stares at the can of baby formula like it's a mountain she can climb. Her breath catches as she whispers, "It's not enough." Then from beside her, a voice, low, familiar, trembling with something unspoken. "I know you." Time stops. Her eyes lift, startled. The man beside her stands still, his gaze gentle but haunted. His clothes are worn, his shoes scuffed, his voice heavy with recognition. Who, why? Did those 3 words feel like a door creaking open in her past? What would you do if a stranger claimed to know you when you barely remembered yourself? Emma's heart races. The stranger's eyes hold something both familiar and foreign, like a dream half-remembered. She fumbles with the coins trying to speak, but the words refuse to form. I don't think so," she whispers. The man's expression softens. "You were kind once when no one else was." The sentence hangs heavy, stirring a memory she can't quite grasp. Around them, the world continues. The buzz of the fridge, the beep of the scanner, life moving on, unaware of the quiet storm between 2 broken souls. She glances down at Lily, who squirms softly in her stroller. Emma's voice cracks as she murmurs, "Please, I just need a few more dollars. I'll come back." The cashier shrugs, indifferent. Michael's gaze lingers, then shifts to the formula. Without a word, he reaches into his coat pocket, pulls out a crumpled bill, and places it on the counter. "Let me," he says quietly. Emma's instinct is to refuse, but pride loses its battle against hunger. She nods, her voice barely a whisper. "Thank you." As the cashier bags the formula, Michael turns toward Emma. "You don't remember me, do you?" he asks softly. She shakes her head. His gaze drifts toward the baby. "You once gave me a meal when I hadn't eaten for 3 days. Emma's breath catches. A flash, a diner, a steaming cup of coffee, a stranger with empty eyes. The memory rushes back like lightning. "That was you," she whispers. Michael nods slowly. "That was me." Outside the store, the cold wind bites at her cheeks. Emma watches Michael disappear into the dark street, his figure dissolving into shadow. She clutches the baby formula to her chest, whispering to herself, "Why me?" Then, just as she's about to leave, she notices something in her bag. A small folded note. She opens it slowly. Inside, written in shaky pen, "You saved me." Her eyes fill with tears. For the first time in months, she lets herself cry. The night air stings Emma's face as she walks home, her boots splashing through shallow puddles. Lily's faint whimper rises from the stroller, and Emma hums softly, a trembling lullaby to drown out her thoughts. The note still sits in her pocket, edges damp with her tears. "You saved me." The words replay in her mind like an echo she can't silence. She remembers the diner, the smell of burnt coffee, a man sitting alone with nothing but shame in his eyes. Could that have been him? She never knew his name, only his hunger. And now, years later, he'd appeared like a ghost carrying gratitude instead of pain. She looks up to the dark sky and whispers, "Why now?" The next morning, sunlight creeps through Emma's small apartment window, cutting across peeling wallpaper and half-packed boxes. Lily stirs beside her. Emma sits at the kitchen table, turning the note over and over in her hand. On the back, she finds something she hadn't noticed before. An address written in faint pencil. Hayes Bakery, 14th and Willow. Her heart skips. She remembers that name from the sign on the man's coat, Michael Hayes. For a long moment, she just stares. Then, with a breath heavy with uncertainty, she decides to go. Outside Hayes Bakery, Emma hesitates. The building glows warm against the chill of the day, a small storefront painted cream and gold, with loaves of bread lined like jewels in the window. She stands there, unsure if she belongs in a place that smells of comfort and life. Her fingers tighten around Lily's stroller handle. Then, through the window, she sees him, Michael. He's laughing with a customer, his face softer now, his eyes alive. She almost doesn't recognize him. When he finally looks up and meets her gaze, the world seems to still. No words, just understanding, silent and deep. The bell above the door jingles as Emma steps inside. The warmth hits her instantly, wrapping her in scent. Sugar, cinnamon, and fresh bread. Michael turns, his smile fading into quiet recognition. For a moment, neither speaks. Then he says softly, "You found me." Emma nods, her voice barely audible. "I didn't even know I was looking." He gestures to a chair, offers a small loaf of bread wrapped in brown paper. "On the house," he says with a faint smile. She takes it in trembling hands, the warmth seeping through her palms, a feeling she'd forgotten. They sit in silence, the sound of the oven timer ticking softly in the background. Michael finally speaks. "After that night at the diner, I promised myself, if I ever stood again, I'd help someone the way you helped me." Emma blinks back tears. "I didn't even know it mattered," she whispers. "It mattered," he says. "It saved me." Emma looks around the bakery, the warmth, the people, the life he's built, and realizes this isn't coincidence. It's full circle, the kind she never believed in anymore. The bell above the bakery door chimes again as the day fades into golden dusk. Emma helps Michael close up, sweeping crumbs from the floor, while Lily naps in her stroller nearby. The silence between them feels safe now, soft, like the hum of an old song. Michael leans on the counter, watching her. "You have a steady hand," he says quietly. She laughs under her breath. "Years of surviving will do that." He nods, then reaches into the register and pulls out a small envelope. "I could use help here. Just part-time if you'd like." She looks up, startled. "You don't even know me." His eyes soften. "I remember you." Emma stares at the envelope on the counter, hesitant. "I don't want charity," she whispers. Michael shakes his head. "It's not charity. It's trust." The words land gently, disarming her defenses. She glances at Lily, then back at him. The flicker of pride in her eyes is quickly replaced by exhaustion. "I don't know if I can do this anymore," she admits, her voice trembling. Michael steps closer, keeping his tone soft. "You don't have to do it alone." For the first time in a long while, Emma doesn't argue. Later that night, the bakery is empty except for the faint glow of the oven's pilot light. Michael wipes down the tables as Emma feeds Lily. The rhythmic sound of the baby's small gulps fills the silence. Michael glances over. "I used to have a daughter," he says suddenly, voice low. She would have been about Lily's age. The air tightens. Emma freezes, unsure if she should ask. "What happened?" he exhales slowly. "Drunk driver. I lost her. And myself. The night you paid for my meal was the first night I'd eaten in days. You didn't know, but you stopped me from ending it all." Emma looks at him, eyes wide. "You survived." He nods. "Because of you. Because of you." The next morning, Emma returns to the bakery. She hesitates at the door before stepping in, the smell of fresh bread greeting her like an old friend. Michael looks up from the counter and smiles, the kind that doesn't ask questions. He hands her an apron, folded neatly. She ties it on, her fingers trembling, eyes glancing at the shelves of loaves lined in perfect order. "I haven't worked in years," she admits. He chuckles softly. "Then today is a good day to start." And just like that, her story begins to change. That evening, after closing, Emma counts the register. Michael leans against the doorframe, watching quietly. "Feels strange," she says with a small smile. "Counting money I didn't have yesterday." Michael nods, eyes thoughtful. "You once counted your last coins for someone else. Maybe this is life giving some of them back." Emma's gaze drifts toward Lily sleeping by the window. "Do you really believe that?" He pauses, then smiles softly. "I believe in second chances." Outside, snow begins to fall. Inside, something just as rare takes root: peace. The scent of cinnamon and baked bread fills the morning air. Emma stands by the counter, arranging pastries while the street outside hums awake. Michael watches from behind, noticing how naturally she's begun to move. Calm, confident, alive. Yet behind her smile, shadows linger. When he catches her gaze, he asks softly, "You ever think about where you came from?" She hesitates, the knife in her hand pausing mid-slice. "Every day," she whispers, "but I try not to look back." Michael nods, his tone gentle. "Sometimes, looking back is how we heal." The bell above the door jingles. A customer enters. An elderly woman with kind eyes. Emma greets her, but the woman's expression freezes. "Emma," she whispers, disbelief flooding her voice. Emma blinks, startled. "Mrs. Kent?" Her voice trembles. It's her old landlord from before she was evicted. The woman's eyes soften. "You disappeared. We were worried." Emma forces a small smile, her throat tight. "Life got hard. I didn't want anyone to see." Mrs. Kent places a wrinkled hand on her arm. "Honey, sometimes disappearing doesn't mean we're gone. It means we're finding our way back." That night, as snow drifts past the window, Emma sits alone at a corner table, the bakery now closed. The day's memories weigh heavy on her. Mrs. Kent's voice, Michael's words, the ache of what she'd left behind. She takes a deep breath and speaks softly, mostly to herself. "I used to think running away was surviving. But maybe surviving means staying, even when it hurts." Michael steps out from the kitchen, drying his hands. "You don't have to run anymore," he says quietly. She smiles faintly, tears welling. "Maybe I'm finally learning that." As Emma wipes down the counter, Michael takes out an old photo from his pocket. It's faded, creased. A little girl with bright eyes, clutching a stuffed bear. "Her name was Sarah," he says softly. "She loved baking cookies more than eating them." He chuckles weakly, eyes glistening. Emma studies the picture, her heart twisting. "She's beautiful," she says gently. "She was," he replies. "You remind me of her, not because you look alike, but because you fight through the dark like she used to." Emma lowers her gaze, emotion choking her words. "And you helped me find my light again." Later that night, Emma returns home, her heart heavy yet calm. She tucks Lily into bed and sits by the window, watching the snowfall. The city feels different now, not cruel, just quiet. She takes out Michael's note again, smoothing the edges. "You saved me," she reads aloud, whispering to the sleeping baby. Then she adds softly, "And he saved us." Her reflection in the window shows a woman no longer broken, just rebuilding, piece by piece. Morning sunlight spills across the bakery's front window, melting the last of the snow. Emma arrives early, her steps lighter than usual. Michael is already there, rolling dough, humming quietly. A melody that sounds like peace. "You're early," he says, smiling. "Couldn't sleep," she replies. "Felt like I had somewhere important to be." He gestures to a new sign by the counter. "Now hiring. Second chances welcome." Emma stares at it, breath catching in her throat. "You mean?" Michael nods. "People helped me when I didn't deserve it. I think it's time we pass it on." Later that day, A teenage boy hesitates at the door, clothes ragged, eyes downcast. Emma spots him, remembers the feeling in her own bones. She walks over, smiles gently, and says, "You hungry?" He nods silently. Michael appears from the back, sliding a plate of bread and jam across the counter. "No charge," Michael says softly, "but come back tomorrow. We could use some help." The boy's eyes widen, disbelief melting into gratitude. Emma watches quietly, her chest tightening. The circle had begun to turn again as evening falls. Emma wipes the counter, watching the boy help Michael stack trays in the back. Her heart feels both heavy and light, a mix of gratitude and disbelief. She whispers to Lily, "You see, baby, kindness comes back, always." Michael turns off the lights, leaving only the glow from the ovens. "You did good today," he says. "So did you," she replies. They exchange a quiet look. Two people bound not by blood, but by something deeper. Redemption. You worry. Redemption. After closing, Michael hands Emma a small wrapped box. "What's this?" she asks, surprised. "Something you left behind years ago," he says. "Found it after you left that night at the diner. Thought you'd want it back." Inside, a silver bracelet, tarnished but intact. Her name engraved on the inside. Emma gasps softly, tears brimming. "I thought I lost this forever." Michael smiles. Maybe some things are just waiting to be found again. That night, Emma locks up the bakery, stepping outside into the crisp winter air. Snow drifts under the streetlights, soft as whispers. She looks up, smiling faintly. "Thank you," she says to the empty street, but the words aren't for the night. They're for him, for fate, for the stranger who became family. Inside, Michael watches from the window, the faintest smile touching his lips. For the first time in years, he doesn't feel alone. And somewhere deep within that silence, two broken hearts finally find peace. Weeks pass, and the bakery becomes more than a shop. It becomes a refuge. Locals stop by not just for bread, but for warmth, for stories, for a smile. Emma laughs more now, her voice blending with the chime of the doorbell. Michael watches her with quiet pride, but beneath his calm, an old ache begins to stir. Each day he gives pieces of himself, to the customers, to the boy, to Emma and Lily. Yet when night falls, the emptiness still whispers. He stands alone by the window one evening, staring at the snow outside, the reflection of light flickering across his tired face. "Maybe this is what it means to heal," he murmurs. "To give what you never had." One cold morning, Michael doesn't show up. Emma opens the bakery alone, concern threading through her chest. Hours later, he walks in, pale and distant, clutching a folded letter. "Doctor says it's nothing," he says, forcing a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Emma studies him, worry etched deep into her features. "You sure?" He nods, but the tremor in his hands betrays him. As he moves toward the counter, the light catches his face, and for a moment she sees the fragility beneath his strength. She wants to ask, but doesn't. Not yet. Later that evening, Emma finds Michael sitting alone in the back, staring at the old photo of his daughter. His shoulders slump with exhaustion that no rest could cure. She walks over and sits beside him. "You don't have to pretend," she says softly. He looks up, his eyes heavy with unspoken truth. "I'm not afraid of leaving," he admits quietly. "I'm afraid of leaving things unfinished." Emma takes his hand. "You didn't just build a bakery, Michael. You built hope. You built me." Tears glisten in his eyes, and for a moment, the pain softens into peace. Days later, the bakery hosts its first Free Loaf Friday. People from the neighborhood line up outside, families, workers, strangers. Emma and Michael move together behind the counter, handing out bread and laughter. When a young mother with a crying baby approaches, Emma places a warm loaf into her hands and whispers, "I know you." The woman looks up, startled, her eyes filling with tears. Michael pauses, watching the exchange with pride swelling in his chest. The kindness had come full circle. That night, after everyone leaves, Emma and Michael sit together at the front table. The silence feels different now. Not empty, but content. Emma speaks first. "You once told me I saved you," she says softly, "but I think you saved me right back." Michael smiles faintly, eyes tired but at peace. "Then maybe we're even outside." The snow begins again, soft and endless. Inside, the ovens hum quietly, the sound of something steady, something eternal. Winter softens into spring. The bakery is alive, the smell of fresh bread mingling with the warmth of laughter. Emma arranges pastries at the counter while Lily plays at her feet. Michael kneads dough in the back, humming the same melody that first made Emma smile. A young mother enters, counting coins in her hand, her eyes weary. Emma watches silently, remembering herself months ago. Without hesitation, she hands the mother a loaf and whispers softly, "I know you." The woman freezes, a spark of recognition in her eyes. She nods, tears pooling. A quiet circle of grace is complete, born from the kindness of a stranger long ago. Emma steps outside. The city alive with spring energy. She breathes in the scent of fresh rain on warm concrete. For the first time in months, she feels light, whole, unafraid. The bakery behind her hums softly, its lights glowing like a beacon. Michael joins her at the doorway. They watch the street together, sharing a quiet understanding. "We did," she says. He nods. "We did." Sometimes, the smallest acts ripple outward, touching lives in ways no one can measure. Days later, the bakery hosts a small celebration. Neighbors, friends, and those whose lives were quietly touched gather. Emma and Michael stand together, watching as the circle grows. Stories are shared. Bread is broken. Laughter echoes. Emma whispers to Lily, "Look, baby. This is what happens when you never give up on kindness." Lily giggles, reaching toward a warm loaf. Michael squeezes Emma's hand, a silent promise that the future holds more than survival. It holds connection, purpose, and love. Evening falls. The bakery closes, and the streets quiet. Emma wipes the counter, her hands now steady. Michael sits nearby, sipping tea. Outside, the city sleeps under a sky painted with stars. Emma leans back, sighing softly. "We started with coins and a note," she says. "Who would have thought it would end like this?" Michael smiles faintly. Some circles are meant to close, and then begin again. The bakery stands as a beacon, proof that small acts of grace can ripple endlessly, shaping lives beyond measure. Weeks turn to months. The bakery flourishes. Stories of kindness continue, passed along from one person to another. Emma, Michael, and Lily thrive, a small family not by blood, but by shared grace. And somewhere, in the quiet of a snowy evening or the warmth of a sunlit morning, a note is passed, a loaf is shared, a life quietly saved. The cycle continues because kindness is never lost. It only waits for the next hands to carry it forward. Nor for to carry it forward.